Today's game against Bradford Northern here at Central Park, weather conditions not too good, but another 2 points for Wigan would be quite important in trying to go for that top 4 place. But before the game, I've got the two Alliance coaches, Graham West and Terry Cassidy. The Alliance, of course, have had a very successful season so far. And Graham, the season has been very successful, even though you just lost in the Cup just recently.
It has. We won the Lancashire Shield early in the season. We've been doing very well in the league, but unfortunately, as you say, we lost the quarter-final in the Challenge Cup to Halifax last Friday.
But you've had really some very good results indeed, and you could well win the championship.
Well, we've got another 7 games to go. Castleford and Hull KR, who are closest to us, have been having a couple of losses over the last 2 weeks. And if we can win the 7 games till the end of the season, we've got a great shot winning the league, yes.
And Terry, you've got obviously some very good individuals in the side, and one or two, of course, who played Colts rugby and have also appeared on the first team.
Yes, O'Donnell, who's played this afternoon, who will be playing this afternoon. Phil Clark, who's a very outstanding loose forward, coming through well. Gil Fillan, the centre, the new signing, he's going to be a really good player in time.
So the Alliance side is providing a sort of buffer between Colts rugby and first team rugby, and it's providing experience for the young players.
Correct, yeah, and it's putting pressure on these young players all the time, but they're coming through it very well.
Well, as we've seen, you know, young O'Donnell has played in he played his first game against Hull Kingston Rovers last week, and he's in the side today because of injury. And Philip Clark, as you said, came on. But prior to that, of course, you've had people like Dennis Betts and Ian Lucas who've also come through the Colts setup. That's
right, and Dermot too. Don't forget, you know, Dermot's come through it from 4 seasons ago. The 3 good signings we made 4 years ago have really hit first team football well, and we're going to make it, you know, they're all going to come through way up.
As far as the rest of the season is concerned, Graham, you said we've got 7 games left out of the Cup, of course, but there could be quite a lot of pressure on the players themselves because you've got Colts games and first team games to come.
That's right. We've got to make the 3 teams gel. We've got to rely on injuries. I think it's just up to us. We're confident that we can get out there and win the league. As you say, we've got 7 games to go. We've got the players that can do it. We're going to go to it.
Well, Terry, you've been involved with Colts Rugby and the Alliance for some time now, and do you think this Alliance team is as good as any we've had at Central Park?
Yes, definitely. It's a very young side, which is what 18 football is all about, fetching young players through. They're very good kids who I think have got a great future in the game.
And of course they get the support of the Wigan public as well, don't they?
Oh, very much so. We're getting 1,000 and a half every game at home.
So the envy really of most rugby league clubs, the fact that you're getting that sort of attendance at an Alliance game.
Oh, it must be, to see 1,000 and a half people here watching good young kids coming through. It's great for the town and the club.
Well, thanks very much for speaking to us, both of you today. And certainly the future of Wigan football looks to be in safe hands with Terry Cassidy and Graham West. So Wigan almost back to full strength. Joe Lydon comes back in the centre after the injury at Featherstone, along with Andrew Gregory there at number 7. But Augustine O'Donnell, ducky to his mates, he's still in at number 9 with Nicky Kiss, still on the injured list, but hoping to be training next week, along with Ian Lucas. And at loose forward, Ellery Handley, of course, playing against his former team, Bradford Northern. On the Bradford side, the danger men in the centre there, Steve McGowan and Ian Wilkinson, the former Leeds and Halifax player, 2 dangerous players for Bradford. Mark Wilson is in at 7, so still no place for Paul Harkin. And there at loose forward, former Wigan favourite John Pendlebury. He'll certainly want to be playing well today. So Steve Haig blows the whistle. Joe Lydon kicks off for Wigan this league game against Bradford Northern. Bradford, of course, had that very fine victory at Warrington last week, inspired apparently by John Pendlebury from loose forward. As we said earlier, he'll be certainly keen to play well today against his former teammates. And the conditions here very slippery indeed. There's been rain here in Wigan for the past hour or so, and it's certainly very greasy on top, so it's going to be a test of ability. And there's the first example. Steve Hampson, normally one of the surest of handlers, and then with the slippery ball has allowed Bradford to have possession. And this powerful Bradford pack may perhaps revel in these conditions, but there's some very good tackling from the Wigan pack. And Kelvin Skerrett, who was spoken to at Bradford in the cup game, again getting himself involved. So Bradford building up some pressure just outside the Wigan 22, and the ball being moved wide. There's Pendlebury in the action, trying to offload to some support, but the ball goes loose. And we're now on the last tackle. So the kick back there to Hobbs, and Hampson playing football with it, but successfully. And this time the two half-backs, that's Mark Wilson, who's in Paul Harkin's place, and Russell Stewart making the tackle, and Goodway driving away from Atting half-back. Such in play from Brian Case there. Edwards in support, almost getting that ball away. Good play from the number 8. Gregory looking for space and finding the gap. And offloading beautifully to Adrian Shelford. But Adrian losing a little bit of momentum there. But a fine break from the number 7. Back to Brian Case. I think that was meant for Joe Lydon for the kick. And the kick goes forward from Brian Case. Not normally one of Wigan's deep kickers, but on that occasion putting a fine grub kick into this left-hand side. The ball coming out of the back of the scrum there, and Ellery Hanley pouncing on young Mark Wilson, but the ball's been secured. Roger Simpson, the right wing of Bradford, taking the pressure off his forwards, just regrouping after that scrimmage. And there's another lost ball, that's gone forward. So already the slipper conditions accounting for 2 mistakes. That's Carl Fairbank, the powerful second row forward of Bradford, losing the ball in the tackle. Gregory to feed the scrum, and that comes out badly, but Steve Hampson recovers from the pass and almost gets away on that right hand side. And Ducky O'Donnell shooting past Fairbank there, but meeting Skerrett in the process. Good yardage from the young hooker. Here's the set move as Gregory puts Goodway clear, but Lydon has to recover. Dean Bell, who's coming to some sort of fitness again now after a series of injuries, has to take that ball infield. Lydon testing Gary Mercer on that left wing, but Mercer's come inside and has made some useful yardage. Once again, Joe Lydon showing the work rate required at Atting halfback. 3 successive tackles, and the 4th on Pendlebury there, who managed to offload to Fairbank. And that's a glimpse of the power of this second row forward. A fine player from the Fairbank family. So on the last tackle, and Hobbs under pressure there. Did he put that ball forward? Steve Haig, the referee, says no, and the kick goes forward to Tony Iro. Tony in splendid isolation on his own there at the back, finding the gap, running past McGowan. So Bradford, who are desperate really for league points there, they've had quite a lean season this season, struggling in the lower echelons of the league. And Wigan, of course, on a very good run at the moment. Despite the narrowness of some of their victories, they're winning, which is the main thing. Simpson a good wave, well up there. That winning sequence, of course, of 8 games has really been brought about by some splendid performance despite quite a few injuries. So good interplay from Bradford there. A set move close to the play the ball. Now the wide ball with Pendlebury again offloading. This time he puts the ball wide, and that's good for Lydon. I'm sure if Joe had managed to pick that one up, that could well have been a try. But Wigan in possession from that pass from Pendlebury. Offside on the far side there. Certainly Steve Haig in a good position to spot that one. This could well be a kick for goal. Ellery Hanley has decided that the 2 points is important. We've just had 7 minutes play. So Joe Lydon with a fairly simple kick for one of his calibre. In fact, he's just pushed it over. He has indeed, and that's into a slight bit of wind, but that's 2 points for Wigan, getting them into the lead after just 8 minutes play here at Central Park. David Hobbs kicking off then, and certainly one of the kickers in this Bradford side. And with me I've got Mark Preston. Mark, conditions not ideal today. It's pretty wet out there, but we're going to have had a good run, 8 matches on the run without defeat. Do you think this game's going to go their way today?
I think it will in the end. The conditions are obviously going to play a major part in the game. The pitch is going to cut up a lot. It looks okay at the moment, but hopefully it won't turn into a forward battle. I think if we move the ball wide, we've got the pace on the flanks and in the centres, and we can win by a comfortable margin.
Well, we hope so. Certainly the games at Bradford were tight affairs, and you can remember them distinctly yourself.
That's right. I think I've played Bradford about 4 times, and this is only my first season, and every game has always been close. Their forwards do like it when the conditions are like this, so we'll just have to wait and see. But as I said, I think we do have the pace, so I think we should come out victors.
Well, we hope so. And then after that kicking duel, we've got Wigan in possession. Tony Iro getting into the act on that right-hand side. And the crowd mostly undercover here. And that is Kevin Iro's first touch of the ball. Wanting to get on with it and play the ball, and there's the chip from Gregory. Mumby, reliable. The referee indicating that that wasn't a penalty for obstruction, that it was Gregory, in fact, who pushed his way into the man. Certainly a change in tactics, which under these slippery conditions is very advantageous. People finding it difficult to turn under these slippery conditions. Bradford on the last tackle, and Hobbs, who's done most of the kicking. That's well charged down by Andy Gregory, and back to one, says the referee. So a fine piece of play from the scrum half in blocking the kick, but the advantage has gone back to Bradford. And certainly in this first 10 minutes, it's Bradford have had most of the possession. Wigan, if anything, playing into that slight breeze. And again, the complicated switch close to the play the ball. And now Bradford lining up wide out, so the ball being called for wide. As Mark Wilson sets John Pendlebury into action. Again, that pass not quite going to hand, but McGowan making a good pickup and showing the pace and power which has marked him down as one of the best centres around here. Certainly in the Bradford v Wigan games this season, he's not had much opportunity, but there a glimpse as he took that ball from John Pendlebury of the sort of pace that this 6-foot centre has. The high kick there. Tony Arrow takes the ball. That was offside. Steve Haig saying not 5. The penalty to Wigan. So not allowing the 5 metres from the kick. It's going to be Steve Hampson to put that ball into touch. O'Brien keeping those legs driving forward there. So we've had the 2 drives. Is it going to be the set move now as first Dennis Betts crosses? So that's the 3rd drive. And a good yardage made by all 3 players. Dennis Betts making a good 10 yards there. Now Goodway looking for support. Finding the gap and wriggling through. Almost getting there. Edwards into the action. Pushing the ball upfield. It's not quite going into touch. Roger Simpson gets back there. And evades Dean Bell's first attempt at the tackle, but no way past the big number 10 there as Adrian Shelford brings the little winger down to the earth. Hobbs again testing Steve Hampson, and Hampson taking the ball securely. And Kevin linking with Tony, but the Bradford defence had realigned. And Bradford taking the ball off him as well in the tackle. So again, Bradford a monopoly of possession at the moment and putting pressure on this Wigan defence. Edwards trying to repeat the dosage there to Bradford in trying to take the ball off Pendlebury, but no success there. So perhaps for the first time Bradford just inside the 22. And the ball is called for wide. Pendlebury trying to offload, but John Hamer taking that ball as Dennis Betts was a matter of inches away from him. There's the gap for McGowan. Edwards filled it very well there, and Mumby loses it. So a chance gone there for Brad perhaps. Sean Edwards covering well and filling that overlap, and so stopping Bradford from perhaps getting a score on that left hand side. Well, Wigan moving it wide inside their entrance. Ellery perhaps for the first time in possession of the ball, and the game perhaps lacking a little bit of atmosphere at the moment. The crowd somewhat subdued here. We've had quarter of an hour's play, just the 1 penalty, and perhaps the conditions have a lot to do with that. Lydon sidestepping past Keith Mumby and putting the ball downfield. And there Lydon chasing his own kick up, and Mumby returning it with interest. So obviously the tactic from Bradford will be, with this slight wind behind them, that they're going to kick the ball back downfield. Not a tactic we see that often, but certainly today it'd be quite an advantage for Bradford to keep Wigan at bay. There's Shelford hitting the gap. Good way on the burst, good play from Wigan. The 2 second row forwards combining well there from Edwards Ponting. The pressure building up now, just outside the 22. Gregory calling for that ball and flinging that long one out to Dean Bell on this left wing. But Bradford across with the cover. So the pressure on. Gregory on the last tackle puts the high ball up. That's a dangerous one. Hampson coming from the back. But well taken there by Wilkinson. Hampson almost getting to that kick. So So now a chance for Bradford to defend inside their own 22. Wigan to put the pressure on them. But Mercer, who's come midfield on several occasions there, making good yardage. And Hobbs, who's one of the best kickers in the game for a second row forward, has pumped that ball back for Dean Bell. Driving in there and selling that dummy, but it wasn't taken by the Bradford players. Gregory trying to find the overlap on this side. So the last tackle now, Edwards an acting half-back, Lydon back in position, and certainly Joe's kicking downfield has been a major part of Wigan's tactical strategy this season. Marquis probably one of the finest kickers in the game. You've seen a good lot of kickers in rugby union yourself as well, but rugby league now developing one or two very good kickers.
I think that's right. I think the kicking game's coming more and more into the game, especially in conditions like this. Really, you've got to be kicking the ball down into the opposition 22 and trying to pen them down there. But yes, Joe, I think he's definitely the best kicker in the league. And I think he's done a lot of work at it. He's practiced and what have you, had a bit of coaching, and it's paid off.
And there another centre with perhaps some promise. That's Steve McGarrow making the break again. Pendlebury trying to find the runners, and he's got Wilkinson out there, but Tony Arrow coming in very well from that right wing. There was no chance that Wilkinson was going to get that ball away. But there, a testing kick. Ellery Hanley's back there, and it's going to bounce over the line. And Steve Hampson takes it, and has to run it out. Well, that ball went backwards in the tackle, so a good recovery there from Dennis Betts as he quickly saw the ball, pounced on it. Certainly the power of Kevin and Tony Arrow have been used to great effect on many occasions this season. Gregory. Certainly a high tackle. Carl Fairbank, it was a second row. Andy Gregory is down on the floor, but he's a tough little nut. I would doubt whether he'd be down there for long. And certainly Ellery having strong words there with the referee. It certainly was a high tackle. The referee has got his book out. We await the final decision. The crowd are shouting that he's got to go off the field, but he's in fact sending him off for a 10-minute sim-bin. So Carl Fairbank getting the boos of the crowd. It certainly was a high tackle. So Bradford down to 12 men. And we hope that the new directive from the Rugby League controller, Fred Lindup, will improve the standard of our game. Cut out the high tackles, they're no part of this game. And John Hamer then going in a moment ago. So Wigan with the set move, Gregory back in the action. There's the switch for Ellery Hanley. And offloading, but momentum slightly stopped as Brian Case offloads well. But the pass going astray, and Bradford have recovered. There was a chance certainly on that right hand side. The overlap almost created. And almost coming off, but Wilkinson just managed to get a tackle there on Kevin Iro. Well, on one or two occasions already, Bradford have tried that miss-move pass, and apart from one occasion when McGowan picked it up very well indeed, it's been a bad move for them. So perhaps a little bit simpler play would be more beneficial for them. So a chance from the scrum for a Wigan set move. Gregory wins it well, and Edwards uses the switch with Joe Lydon, but Pendlebury very quickly out of the pack. So the pressure building up now on Bradford. Can Wigan get that elusive try, which perhaps would set them on the trail? Shelford driving through that first tackle. And Ducky looking out there for where the ball's going to go. Gregory and Edwards work the run around. A great ball to Handley in space, with good cover from Bradford. The try line beckoning there for the Wigan captain. That's another penalty. David Hobbs, the old professional, former Featherstone and Oldham player, hanging on to Ellery Handler there, but it's going to be another chance for 2 points as Joe Lydon comes up for the kick. So Joe Lydon, conditions slippery underfoot, but that looks safe, looks sound. It is, in fact, it's over. 4-0 to Wigan. We've had 25 minutes play and still a very closely fought affair here, with both defences being on top. Conditions a little bit difficult. Goodway runs it out strongly, but good defence from Bradford. Certainly been a part of their game today. Both sides defending well. A very little chance to make any breaks or any real play forward. But there's one break from Brian Case as he wriggled out of those two tackles. And there's the other half of the front row partnership, Shelford, trying to do the same and almost getting away from that Pendlebury tackle. Now the set move as Edwards used the switch with Gregory. The gap is on that side, and Goodway managing to get that ball out to Hanley. And Ellery is still going and still running. Desperate cover from Bradford. Now a chance for the halfbacks to probe open. A great ball to Kevin Iro from Andy Goodway. Now the high kick. Is Hampson there? Can he get to it? No, that just bounces dead. That's going to be the TAT 22. It was certainly that Gregory pass out wide for Kevin Iro, which almost got the big New Zealand centre over. And then that little chip kick just failing to reach Steve Hampson. And that's one of the set moves that Wigan do, obviously, with Steve Hampson such a great jumper off the ground. Either Gregory or Edwards working the set move, isn't it, Mark?
That's right, yeah. Andy, Gregory or Sean will usually call the move on the sixth tackle. A little chip to the blind side, and hopefully Steve can get up there and catch it. It just didn't work that time.
But nearly, and it's that try which we need. And there's a fine break there as McGowan goes through and links, but Goodway got back well. The ball's gone down to the floor, and Wigan in possession as Joe Lydon got back. In fact, no, it's back to Bradford's possession. There's a penalty out wide. The referee has seen that Andy Goodway, was it Andy Gregory in fact, or Dennis Betts, was offside. So that fine break on the right hand side resulting eventually in a penalty and a chance for Bradford to get back 2 points. So David Hobbs with a very simple conversion attempt of this penalty. Normally a safe kicker, and that's certainly over. That's the 2 points. So Wigan leading by just the 2 points, by 4 points to 2. So a strangely silent Central Park crowd here. Wigan leading just by those 2 points as Leiden restarts. Certainly the game hasn't been exciting, it's been rather dour. Good defences on both sides and really nobody able to break that stranglehold. 1 or 2 breaks from both teams, mainly from Wigan, but the movement's not being able to be finished off and get that ball over the try line. Fairbank, of course, back on the field after serving his 10-minute sin bin. And Bradford up to full strength as Hobbs again comes in for that kick, and that's a testing one for Tony Iro. We have to decide whether he touched it or not. In fact, the referees indicate, I think, that he hasn't. So that's going to be a scrum down Wigan ball. And almost guaranteed these days, whoever feeds the ball is going to get the head, Nicky.
That's right. When they put the ball in, it's normally fed right through to the second rows now. There's no hooking job really, unless you've got a decent number 8 and you can get the head, and pinch it from time to time.
So Andy Gregory feeding, but the referee this occasion saying it was a feed, a misfeed in fact, as Nicky Kiss was saying. Perhaps into the second row, but this time not getting away with it. So that's going to be a penalty for Bradford. And with just 5 minutes to go before half-time, this is a testing time for Wigan. Bradford can put the pressure on, using their big forwards, driving towards the line. They've got 1 or 2 well-organised set pieces, and that's one inside to Skerritt. But the Wigan defence holding on, 5 yards short. Now the complicated switch, but Fairbank taking that ball standing still, and therefore really not much chance of him getting towards that goal line. Edwards and Betts well in the tackle. There's the run around for Noble, just short again. The chance as Hobbs moves it wide. There's a chance for out to Wilkinson. That should be a try for McGowan. It looks like a try. The referee points to the spot. A try it is indeed. It's Steve McGowan who goes in at the corner. So Bradford have broken the deadlock. They are the ones who've got that first try. And as it was held close to the post, it was moved out wide, and the 3 quarters combining well. And the try scored just in that right-hand corner. Joe Leiden restarts, kicks that ball deep down that left-hand side. Roger Simpson, Steve McGowan picking that ball up. So it certainly has been a hard, uncompromising affair here. There's been very little play, which has resulted in major breaks through the defensive setup. It's been Hobbs who's been kicking and kicking better and better, it would seem. Hobbs hoisting that ball really high. Tony Arrow letting it bounce there, I think, into touch, not risking touching the ball, making the mistake, and it's Wigan who will have the feed in the scrum. This time hopefully Mr Haig will be a little bit more lenient with Andrew Gregory, and Wigan will gain some possession. He has indeed, and Gregory gets that great ball out to Tony Arrow, but very quickly out of the scrum. John Pendlebury there filling in that gap. Dennis Betts taking the ball aggressively forward, showing good balance there as he sidestepped his way through. Gregory calling for that ball, so it goes wide. Goodway drifting across, trying to offload. So although the switch of play then across the face of the play of the ball, it's still no penetration. Bradford moving it well on both sides. And it's Lydon who puts that ball straight into touch. And it's on the last tackle, so that's going to be a handover as we come to the last minute of actual playing time in this first half. Great tackle from Joe Lydon, forcing the error there from Kelvin Skerrett, and Wigan have won possession. So a chance perhaps before half-time. It certainly would be a tonic if they did so, get over that line. But Bradford, as they've done most of this game, filling in all the gaps, working very hard in defence. Theirs is for first division survival, and certainly they want to keep in the top bracket. That's been very evident in the way they played today. Can Edwards find the gap? Great ball from Joe Lydon and linking well with Dennis Betts. Adrian Shelford eventually getting down on the ball, but there goes the half-time hooter. As we said, rather a dour game, which has really not sparked the imagination of anybody here, Mark, but Wigan only just 2 points behind and the advantage of the wind in the second half.
That's right. I think you've got to give Bradford credit in this first half. The defence has been absolutely excellent. We've made a couple of breaks and just haven't been able to finish off, but that's been due to their cover. And I think, you know, on the balance of it, I think they deserve to be going in the lead.
Well, they're certainly the one team that's got over that try line. That try from Gary Mercer in the 36th minute, putting them in the lead at half-time by 6 points to 4. Okay, the game sets in motion. Wigan with that win behind them, but a 2-point deficit, and as Mark Preston said earlier, perhaps Bradford deserving that lead. Wigan certainly not been able to finish off any of the promising breaks that they have been made early in the game. There's certainly been one or two strong forward exchanges, particularly with the Bradford front row. Now Lydon trying to repeat the David Hobbs effort in the first half. There's the defensive line. And Simpson getting out of Edwards' tackle there. And Mumby taking the pressure off his forwards as they regroup from that deep Lydon kick. Now, will Bradford try a more expansive game, or will they try and hang on and play it tight? David Hobbs certainly one of the forwards who can offload that ball in the tackle. And Pendlebury, one of their playmakers, certainly since Paul Harkin has not been in favour. It's John Pendlebury who's been taking over the role of distributor. And Hobbs again kicking upfield, but Hampson, as ever, in the right position. But little way forward for him there as Bradford move up well. So a lot of pressure there on Kevin Arrow in the tackles. Edwards changes the tactic, pushing it through, but good cover there from Brian Noble, the hooker. And that's gone possession back to Bradford, so the change of tactic, but still Bradford in possession. Andy Gregory moving up quickly on John Pendlebury. A great tackle there, great anticipation there from Andy Gregory. He saw the ball was moving wide and he moved up very quickly in defence, putting a pressure on John Pendlebury. The ball went down, so the scrum for the knock forward. Well, the ball going behind Kevin Iro, and Joe Lydon having to cover across and recover. Slippery conditions here at Central Park, getting worse all the time. There's an example where Steve Hampson makes an uncharacteristic mistake. Well, both hookers legs across there as the ball went in, way before the ball was put in. Mercer getting involved in the action as he did once more. He had been held, says Steve Haig. The penalty is given. Gary Mercer thought, I think, that he hadn't been held in the tackle and therefore the tackle hadn't been made, but the referee had other ideas. And Lydon punishes the mistake with a fine kick on the 22. So a chance, a rare chance in this game so far for the Wigan fans to get behind their team as Goodway hits that ball up, 1 out. Brian Case takes that second drive and still keeps those legs pumping towards that Bradford try line. Now the set move from Wigan. O'Donnell goes from acting half-back himself. So 3 tackles gone. Gregory in position, 1 out. The half-backs combined. But no gap there for Andy Goodway. And Bradford maintaining their discipline in that defensive line. Ellery Hanley almost put away and having to fling that ball back under pressure. Lydon trying to find some space. But the slippery conditions just defeating him there. On the last tackle. O'Donnell trying the drop kick. That's been charged down. And touched down over the line, so that's going to be a dropout under the post. As we have a little bit of an incident behind the goal line. I think most of the players are coming in to pull people away rather than to join in the fun. But the touch judge having a word with Steve Haig. Andy Gregory explaining his version of the affair to the referee. And now the touch judge having his say. So we await the result of this discussion. And again, it's a Bradford player at fault. The penalty is going to go to Wigan. The incident obviously involved Ducky O'Donnell. And it looks like Fairbank as well. So a chance now for Wigan to build up the pressure. Ellery Hanley indicating that he's going to go for goal, so Joe Lydon will get a chance to get another 2 points. So a difficult kick, a difficult angle for Joe Lydon, but the wind slightly in his favour. He struck it well. He struck it very well. What a superb kick from Joe Lydon. That levels the scores at 6-all. Hobbs restarts, and certainly this season and last season, Wigan and Bradford have fought some very close encounters. This might not be as close if Tony Arrow gets away. He's drifted past 2 opponents there, but not quite able to make that third break. Shelford losing the ball in the tackle there, and that's a chance for Bradford now, just outside the Wigan 22. Andy Goodway working very hard in defence there, helped by Brian Case. So a test for the Wigan defence as Goodway again moves in, and Gregory putting pressure on John Pendlebury, and the ball lost. So that's 2 occasions already in this half that Andy Gregory has gone forward, putting pressure on the Bradford players, and Wigan getting the ball as a result. This time Andy Gregory decides to kick, and that's a pulsating effort as Gregory moves up along with Edwards. Edwards it is who makes the tackle. A fine run from Sean Edwards there after that Andy Gregory kick. Bradford prepared to move it wide, and Roger Simpson, who's already shown a glimpse of his pace and elusiveness, The switch of play close to the acting halfback. So a set move there as McGowan runs across from the far side of the field, and Fairbank in space. So the game livening up perhaps for the first time. We've had a few breaks on either side. And again McGowan taking that ball from Pendlebury into the gap, so he's very involved at the moment. On the last tackle now, Bradford, and they can move that ball wide. There's an overlap on the right hand side. Dennis Betts calls to Dean Bell and pushes him out. The ball's gone into touch on the far side, and as that ball seemed to have bounced into touch and not gone straight in, it's going to be a scrum down. But it's going to be the Wigan feed. So the game perhaps just livening up a little bit there, Mark.
It is. Bradford seem to be throwing the ball about now, which is not usually their style of play. I think